You're right. We can just leave it. So again, the PowerPoint was on this. The screen will show you this. You all the this comes up. Just hit phone. I'll shut off. The computer will automatically. Just hit phone. Shut down.
It's live right now. And I just want to leave it just in case.
Maybe that right there. Yeah. And then just do like a practice number. And I'll tell you if I'm blind.
Oh, she's a
timekeeper.
This is good.
Can you write a number on there? Let me see.
I think I can do that, yeah.
Okay, and then it'll be.
Again, the microphone is live. Much needed.
Oh, okay, very nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you.
I didn't recognize you. I was gonna say she takes the spotlight. I know, my like this year, and that's, I feel like a great one. But then, you hear like.
42.
Yep. Cancel that.
She's the same way.
I know.
Everybody
How
else.
are you, Mary?
Not normal.
Good. Did you meet my friends out there today? I didn't even know that they were.
Oh, really? Were they friends of yours?
So one of them, yeah, I've known her since I was 17 years old.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool. And then Sean. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was very cool. Get out there. I was gonna sit over there with you.
Spoken like a journalist. Oh, no, it's like you're picking it.
We're almost there. We almost there, y'all. We almost there, right? Oh my God.
It's like,
You saw me doing this?
we're gonna do.
Hey, we told her what we gotta do, right?
That's right. You never thought you'd be able to share that.
I know.
I know, okay.
Friends, I was just about that.
No, she got moving that hip, she said. I love it. She started with it. Yeah, I saw her. Like everything his address from. So he was like, to start conversation, his address from. He's like,
In your head, sometimes you gotta.
Yeah.
You know, all of a sudden, it's like, I got joy, I got love, I got peace. And it really puts the.
I would just say, push you still. They were like, and you see that other side. It's kind of like, okay, by all means. Yeah. Like, I know exactly which one. I never said that. Yes. Yes.
I want to see that. He does that. He did, that might be very good. He disappeared like that. I don't know. Not quite, I'm not. Okay. Yeah.
But I think it's quite
Because I like where they are. So I was just telling me. He's like, oh.
It's true.
And it's Thursday. Okay, so I
My mom.
Yes, well, where is?
You're like, really? Not so cool when you're learning to spelling. No, it's nice learning the spelling. Sometimes you have to put in things that the spelling is that said stuff.
Almost. I'm trying. I'm just trying. That's all I'm saying. Then I'm trying. That's what we got to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. That is also.
Yes. See? But thank you. We've been doing this like all over. I know. So I'll speak to everybody. Me too.
It's hard, I mean, he tried it out and it worked. Yeah. I mean, you can take a little.
You know?
You know.
Yes, indeed.
Those are-
This is word of mouth. So, is it need to do almost. You're ready. So you know,
It's been hard.
I didn't know if it's very.
They're like super great. You know, my niece, this is she was
I think everywhere else. Any.
So I was like, you know what?
Yeah, on my way home. They don't know. They always.
Well, he said it was on, maybe it's turned off.
And it's all the same thing. I don't know.
But it is, yeah.
It's awesome.
Not safe.
I see people doing it and I'm like, that's right. We're supposed to be stuff.
You can hear it, it's just lower. You just have to yell at
Hey, guys. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's great. That's actually helpful.
They want me to put it so the lines are.
You have access to life.
I just have like a blank slide.
Testing, testing.
It's picking up.
That mic over there. The
He's
one
at the table.
Hello. It's Jen How are you?
Sure. I don't know how to fix this.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you so much.
Okay, it's gonna be a face. Yeah, it's gonna be a face.
Start the blossom.
You saw what I did? We know what color.
Good evening. Hello, testing, testing. Sailor middle. Very good. I don't want this to go anymore. Everybody testing, testing. Everybody goes here and testing. Testing, testing. Good evening. Good evening. Could I have all our candidates please come to the front and take a seat? Sorry.
Want us in any order or by our groups or?
Groups probably.
Yes, if we can sit in our groups,
Down there,
please.
right, that's not 14.
Sure, thank you.
Was the middle microphone. So we're back table.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, I think we're ready to begin. Can everybody hear me? Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Andrea Vendetti, and I have the honor of serving as the chair of the Hispanic Leadership Council. I have the pleasure of helping to coordinate this Judicial Forum. I would like to, on behalf of the council, I would like to welcome you all and thank you for being here tonight. I would also like to extend our gratitude to St. Petersburg College for hosting us today in their campus and for supporting our mission. I also would like to thank the committee, the Judicial Forum Committee, for their hard work in putting this together. Especially, I would like to thank the candidates for being here tonight and for sharing their goals and visions for the Hispanic communities. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Additionally, I would like to thank all the vendors that came. They are outside and they're providing valuable information. I would like to talk to you a little bit briefly about the council. The council was established in 2006 under the esteemed leadership of Maria Edmonds and operates within the Intercultural Advocacy Institute, Hispanic Outreach Center. And this program is funded by the Juvenile Welfare Board. It comprises a 30-member organization who collaboratively support the mission of the Hispanic Center and serve the needs of the rapidly growing Hispanic community through public education, advocacy, enhanced services, and the elimination of barriers. Some time ago, based on a client's needs survey, the council developed a plan in areas of critical needs: school achievement, access to healthcare, access to vital community information, and language barriers. In the area of community information, our goal is to improve the development and dissemination of information to the Hispanic community. This year, we are hosting a judicial forum. This significant event will provide community members with the unique opportunity to meet and engage with judicial candidates of Pinellas County 6th Circuit Judge Group 14 and 9. We hope you enjoy the forum and find it both informative and enlightening, providing you with the knowledge needed to make a well-informed decision. I'm going to leave you now with our moderator for tonight's event, Andrea Teres Mundia. She is a member of the committee, and he will provide you with introduction to the forum and explain to you how it's going to be conducted. So thank you so much again for being here today, and enjoy the forum. Andrea.
Good evening, everyone. First, I want to check, can you guys hear me in the back? Better? Okay. So yes, welcome to the forum. The way that it's going to work tonight is that we have some.
We don't hear you.
Oh, a little louder? Okay. Welcome to the forum. The way that we're going to be working the forum tonight is that we have some questions that we came up with. And then after those questions, we will open it up to the audience to ask their own questions. You should all have received a piece of paper and a pen. And if you have not, my friend over there, Maria, is going to come around and pass you a paper and pen. Throughout the first part with the questions that we're going to be asking, if something comes up that you would like to ask, feel free to ask it on there and we will come around and collect it. Each question will have a time, and I will read that time before. And then we have a timekeeper that will be lifting up our pamphlets. If you want to raise your hand, there you go. You'll get a 1-minute warning and a 15-second warning as well. Okay, let's go ahead and start with the first question. Give me 1 second. Question number 1, please tell us who you are, a little bit about yourself, and why you want to be a judge. We'll start here. Yes, so you can speak into that mic.
Perfect. Can everybody hear me? Yeah? Okay. My name is Nicole Perlman. I am running for 6th Judicial Circuit Judge, Group 9. There are 2 separate groups that you should be aware of, Group 9 and Group 14. I personally have wanted to be a judge for a very long time. I grew up in a household that didn't have a lot of money. I had abuse in my household, and I knew that if I wanted to do something, if I wanted to make more of my life, I needed to work for it. So I worked very, very hard to get scholarships and funding to go to college, where I continued to work very, very hard. I worked a full-time job while I was going to college. I put myself through college and graduated with honors. And then I went to law school the very next month after I graduated college. I ended up working my way through law school as well. I ended up graduating number 9 in my law school class. And I then decided to work for the state attorney's office. I got a job there instantly, and I began learning my way in and out of criminal law. I did lots of motions, lots of trials, in and out of the courtroom every day, handling calendars, handling everything you could think of, from a possession of marijuana charge, very minor crime, to getting a sentence of life with no opportunity of parole based on the facts of that case. I knew, however, that crime was just a small sliver of what a circuit judge would need to do. So I left the state attorney's office after 4 years to learn civil. I went out, I worked for a private firm, which was a friend of mine who had it actually, and I've been there ever since. I've been for the past 12 years doing family law. I've been learning the ins and outs of civil rules. I also did civil litigation with my firm, working with other attorneys there on our personal injury side, but the majority of my practice has been family law. I learned that it's very difficult for these families, that it's hard. A lot of the judges that come in are new, they've never practiced family law, and they get put in the family law bench, and they're kind of learning as they go. I decided that I wanted to take my knowledge, my skill, like everything that I am as a person, and bring it to the bench and help these families do better, and help them get through. So that is why I ask and I urge you to vote. And I know that people don't vote for judges because you just don't know them. Now you have a face to a name, and I would ask that you cast your vote for me for Circuit Judge Group 9. Thank you. All right, good evening, everybody. Can you guys all hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Kate Spurlock, and I'm running for Circuit Court Judge in Group 9. A little bit about myself. I'm currently an assistant state attorney here in the 6th Judicial Circuit, and I work in the Special Victims Unit. So in my unit, I handle cases of human trafficking, child sex cases of victims under the age of 12, aggravated child abuse, and homicide with children victims. I also do the civil commitment of sexually violent predators. I'm one of 4 attorneys in my office that also does civil law in addition to criminal law. And I also am a person who was a member of the traffic homicide unit, so I responded out to scenes alongside law enforcement for several years for all DUI manslaughters, vehicular homicides, and any vessel homicides as well. The question really is, why am I running for judge? And it really started after college. I never really actually imagined I'd be an attorney. I went to school for business and I got out, and my first job out of college was at Hertz Rental Car. It was in 2009, it was in the recession. And, my mother told me, when you got a job, that's the best time to be out there, show up with a good attitude. And over the time, I was really just I didn't feel a purpose. And my husband, who's here, my college sweetheart, actually told me, I love you dearly, but you need to figure it out. You complain, you're not happy Monday through Friday. And so it really led me on a purpose, a journey to understand what my God-given talents are and where I could best serve, right? I learned about myself that I have to be a part of service and something bigger than just a job or money. And I ended up being mentored at the time I lived in Tennessee by the chief criminal judge in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I sat in court with her. I heard her decision-making, sat in chambers with her, and what I learned is that judges they have profound decisions that affect everyone's lives. They need to have good discernment, they need to have a good temperament, and they need to show up well and be educated. And so that really led me on this purpose where when I went to law school, I trained and wanted to be an assistant state attorney and one day run for judge. And I am a person, a quality over quantity person. I'm an expert in my field, and I really, ultimately, this is a vote of confidence. Who can you be confident has the transferable and translatable skill set to go to any facet of law? I'm in the courtroom every day. I've tried a significant amount of cases. Just in June alone, I tried a first-degree murder and an attempted first-degree murder. So I'm asking for your vote on August 20th to serve as your next circuit court judge in Group 9. Thank you, guys.
Good evening. Well, I want to say this. My name is Cornelius Demps, and I'm running for circuit judge. I'm 14, raising all of my colleagues here to my right. I am an award-winning attorney. I am a community servant, and I'm a proven leader. And I'm running to answer my call of service to this. A little bit about me and where I'm from. I'm born and raised in South Florida, down in Fort Pierce, Florida. If anybody knows exactly where that is, if you know where that is, we're probably family for this part. So. My father was a United States Marine, first lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps. My mother is a certified adoption specialist. They instilled in me the values of hard work, accountability, and public service. In high school, I had opportunity to develop my skills in public advocacy. First in my church, doing the first and second reading, and you're told to do the first and second reading in your church growing up. And obviously, my name is Cornelius, so you know I was raised in the church. We had a chance to compete in the debate team in my high school, competed at Harvard while I was in high school. I went off to Florida State University, where I originally majored in industrial engineering, but I knew that that was not where I needed to be. I love math and science, but didn't want to go a career into doing that. I decided instead to focus on my advocacy skills. Was a part of the mock trial team at Florida State University, where I won several awards. And as we came here to Pinellas County, I went to Stetson University College of Law. As a member of the Stetson trial team, I won several best advocacy awards and had a chance to grow my skills. I began my career here in the Sixth Circuit as a prosecutor, first in Newport Richey, where I had the opportunity of trying cases involving some of the most violent offenders that you can imagine, from robberies to murders, drug trafficking cases. I had significant jury trial experience. I used that experience when I went to the Attorney General's office in Tampa as an appellate prosecutor. So what does that mean? As a trial prosecutor, I put violent offenders away in prison. As an appellate prosecutor, I make sure they stay in prison. And that opportunity of doing that work, handling all 14 counties from Pasco County through Fort Myers and every type of matters, specifically RICO cases, human trafficking cases, child pornography cases, the whole nine. Love helping victims, love the work that I did. but realized very quickly I couldn't raise a family on government salary. It was going into private practice where I had a chance to be handling business dispute cases and building my skills before going on and starting my own law firm. I also am the past president of Georgia Education Bar Association, which I'll talk more about that today. That improved record leadership and in this race. I'm also the winner of the Tampa Bay Chamber and the Amplified Clearwater Strawholds as well. And I thank you all for this opportunity, having a chance to meet you all, learn more about my skills. Just remember to vote for DEMS on August 20th. Thank you.
This is the cutest and tiniest microphone I've ever held in my life. So I'm Jen Dubell. My real name is Jennifer Cruz Dubell, but I go by Jen. I am an assistant public defender. I've been in my office for almost 18 years, and taking my the job offer at my office was probably one of the best decisions that I have ever made. Many people ask why I have stayed at my office for so long, and I can tell you that I'm a really strong constitutionalist. I'm a firm believer in our Constitution. And I'm very proud to be the one to stand up for our Constitution, protect our individual rights every single day that I go to work. There's two reasons that I've stayed at my office for so long: the Constitution and helping people. I take pride in my work. I take pride in being the one to be such an important part of checks and balances, which is our system. I get to make sure that law enforcement makes the proper arrest, that they're not just arresting people for no reason. They're arresting because they believe that someone committed a crime. I get to make sure that the state attorney's office is prosecuting people that, when they have evidence that they really think that someone committed a crime. And also, I get to make sure that judges are following the law. Many people think my job as a defense attorney is to find loopholes in the system or to try to get bad people out of jail, and that's not my job. My job is to protect our individual rights. People trust me with their lives every single day when I go to work, and I take honor in being the one to stand up and protect their rights. I think it's such an important part of our system to make sure that we maintain our Constitution and that everybody follows the rules. I firmly believe in the rule of law. I feel people should be accountable for their actions. So just because I'm a defense attorney doesn't mean that I think that it's okay to commit crimes. When somebody is guilty or the evidence is overwhelming or against them, my job is to make sure that they get a fair trial if that's what they so choose. I take pride in doing what I do every single day. I've been in public service for almost 18 years, giving back to the community. I want to be a judge to continue my career in public service. I have a proven track record of being a strong constitutionalist, and I have the expertise and these skills that could be applied to any work. It doesn't matter if it's family law, if it's civil law. My skills are transferable, and that's important to consider. I'm the only candidate in my race that has the significant courtroom experience of being in court every single day for almost 18 years, Monday through Friday, that is. So this is why I want to be a judge. I want to continue my career in public service and give back to the community. And I urge you all to look at the track record for each candidate and look to see who has actually been to court, who knows the rules, who has handled thousands of cases. You'll see that that's me. I ask you to vote Jennifer Judge. Thank you.
Is this even working? Do you hear it out there or? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
One sec. Good evening, my name is Nick Fiorentino, running for Circuit Court Judge Group 14. I've been practicing for 21 years. I've practiced in the areas of family law, probate, civil, and criminal law. I've also been a critical incident attorney for the last 18 years, representing law enforcement. I'm on call for that 24/7. The reason that I'm running to be a judge is I had a case in 2015 where I was representing a father who had just got out of the military. He had 50% of the time with his daughter. And the mother had filed to modify that case for no legal reason. And we had an all-day trial scheduled in Tampa. Halfway through that trial, the judge said, we're wrapping this up by lunch, and ended our all-day trial about 4 hours early. So we had to reshuffle our case, present the best case we could in the limited time that we had. When the judgment was entered in that case, it had the law was applied incorrectly, the facts were wrong, they had the parties living in the wrong county. We asked the judge to do a rehearing to change those things, and it was denied. My client was devastated because he was going to lose substantial time with his child. He had 50-50 and it was going to switch to every other weekend. He had siblings in his home, or the daughter had siblings that she wasn't going to be able to spend time with, and it devastated his family. I told my client he needed to appeal. The appeal was going to cost almost $20,000 and he couldn't afford it.
So I told him I've never done an appeal, I'm gonna learn how to do this, and we're gonna appeal your case, I'll do it for free. I appealed his case, took 9 months, but ultimately he won, and that case was overturned. He got all of his time back with his child. It was because of that case that I knew we needed to have successful attorneys step away from their practices and serve as judges. And that's when I made that decision. From there, I became a mediator in family law, became an arbitrator, and a parent coordinator, which helps parents in high conflict cases. Because I thought it was necessary to take trainings to be a neutral in order to serve as a judge. And that's why I took the steps that I took. A little bit about my personal life. I've been married to my wife Mary for 19 years. She's here tonight. We share 4 children together. Our youngest just graduated from high school, and he's currently attending Pennell's Technical for the Marine Mechanic. Thank you all for being here tonight. I look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you. Those were great opening statements. One thing I forgot to mention, if we have any Spanish speakers, it is being translated up here in Spanish. Si hablan español, se va a traducir lo que están diciendo los jueces acá arriba. Okay. Back to our questions. We know that you all will be fair to everyone who comes before you. What sensitivities will you have toward people who don't speak Spanish? For example, people who need an interpreter should be scheduled at the beginning or at the end of the hearing. And you will have 2 minutes for this question. Okay. Yes.
So I think it's important that everyone that comes before a judge or in the court in any way, whether you speak the language or not, so if you speak Spanish, Russian, Croatian, whatever it is, I think it's important that you have to understand the system. Luckily, there are things in place for that. There's Spanish translators that can be hired to come to translate as things as if you're in crime, as a pleas being read, or in family law, as the witnesses are doing testimony. If you can't afford a translator, there's also phone lines that you could call in and they could translate for you. But with that in mind, it is important that they understand everything that is going on because that's their day in court. And I think it's important that you kind of think about that when you're doing your case. If you have a docket, if you know something's going to take longer, you make time for it and accommodate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I agree. Circuit court judge, especially in talking in crime, is very serious, or in circuit civil, you're dealing with claims that are over $50,000 in value. And so it is very important that anyone who comes before a court knows the rights that they have and understands everything that's going on. And, courts need to run efficiently, but not so efficient that we're not allowing people to have appropriate access and understanding of the law. It's heavy and big things that are happening in there. Lady Justice wears a blindfold, so it doesn't matter what your background, your language. Equal access to justice and fairness is for everyone, and the law should be applied evenly in that way. And as a judge, you need to be sure that everyone coming before you properly understands their rights and understands everything and understands it in their native language, the language that they best are able to, have comprehension in, even though they might have multiple languages. I even tried a case that took 4 days of a capital sexual battery case where the defendant only spoke Spanish, and it slows the process, but it's absolutely what needs to happen. So interpreters were present for the victims that spoke primarily Spanish, and interpreters were present with headsets on so that the defendant could be sure that he understood everything that was being said by every witness. And as a judge, I would make sure that that access was available for any person that came so that they could understand the law clearly and appropriately.
I agree with what's been said before. It's our responsibility as attorneys to make sure that when they come to the court, they fully understand the proceedings that are happening for them and the impact that they're about to have on their life. We have court interpreters who are available to help translate. The question I think was asked was, should they be handled at the beginning of the case or toward the end of the case, right? In my experience, as someone who's tried cases throughout the Tampa Bay area, it's better to take those cases as they come on a first come basis. So we as judges have to make sure that we have court interpreters who are available at the get-go, ready to go to speak to people. We have very good Florida Supreme Court certified court interpreters who are available, but there's not a lot of them who are out there. So we have limited resources. So we have to make sure that they are able to assist people need. We also have to be mindful that some people who come from Latin America or Central American countries don't necessarily all speak Spanish. Some speak, native Mayan dialects. We have to make sure that someone understands what is going on with the proceedings, and make sure we have interpreters who are available. But I believe those cases should be handled on a case-by-case basis at the beginning, toward the end. I've seen other models where judges have just let people who only speak Spanish, they can wait to the end of the docket, and then the court interpreters handle everything at once. And I think that's unfair. And also, it's very inefficient in the system that we have. If someone has to sit in the courtroom for 3 or 4 hours per day just because they don't speak the language. So I believe those cases should be handled as they come on first served basis.
Claire moved here, she was born in Colombia, and she came to the United States when she was a child, not knowing a single word of English. Growing up, there were many words that I didn't know the English version, I only knew the Spanish version. And even as an adult, there are many words that I still naturally want to say wrong because that's how I was taught by my mother because she didn't know any different. I understand firsthand, and I also see many cases, I've had many clients that don't speak any English. And I've had to have an interpreter. I've had jury trials where we have needed interpreters, and that takes a lot more time. And it's really important for the courts to understand that if people don't understand the language, we have an interpreter that will process everything so that everything is fair and whether it's a defendant or in a civil case, a plaintiff, whoever it is, that they understand everything that is going on. Typically in the criminal courts that I have been in, the judges will handle any interpreter cases first. And I think that's the way it should be. Just because somebody doesn't speak our English language, I don't think that they should be put off to the end of the calendar week for hours and just, to be heard. There are many hearings that take more time. I think those type of hearings with interpreters that are, more in depth, they should be scheduled maybe a little bit later at a different time when it's just the interpreter and the party that doesn't speak English so that they get their opportunity to hear everything, process everything, and make the right decision. Thank you.
I agree with most of everything that's been said. In order for people to have due process, they need to be heard. And they need to be fully heard, and they need to understand the process. When you have to have an interpreter present, it doubles the length of time because everything has to be said twice. And so I think it's important that those cases are heard first. One reason is because a lot of times people are paying for their attorneys to be there, and when you schedule them at the end, they're having to pay for their attorney just to sit there throughout those hearings. And I don't think that's proper. In civil cases, a lot of times the clients have to actually hire an interpreter, so if you push it to the end, they're paying for an interpreter and an attorney, and I don't think that's fair either. I think it's important that if it's a long hearing, that it's special set, so that the parties can come in and be fully heard with their interpreters. Thank you.
I believe we may be having a little bit of microphone difficulty, so if I could ask the judges to please speak a little bit louder, just to be able to project to the back of the room. Thank you. Okay, question number 3. Could you tell us about your nonprofit involvement, specifically with the Hispanic community? You will have 2 minutes for this question. Yes.
All right, it's kind of fun going first because you don't have to worry about someone saying the same exact thing as you. But as far as nonprofits, I've been involved in this community for a very long time. A lot of the things I do benefit everyone. There's lots of Hispanic people that do it. Most of my community involvement involves foster kids and kids that don't have an option of what happened to them. And so I've been involved in Suncoast Voices and Hero to a Child. I'm on the advisory council currently for Heart Gallery, which helps older kids in the foster care system try to match up with their home. I'm also involved in a Rotary. We do lots of community service through our Rotary for different organizations. One of them is cooking for the homeless. But most of the things I do, like I said, it benefits all and affects all.
So I'm very active in the nonprofit world. I agree. I don't focus directly on specifically an organization that just primarily targets helping Hispanic, but I do focus on nonprofits that help everyone. So I found that in the special victims unit, a lot of my children are foster care kids that don't have really stable home lives. And so my ability to partner with nonprofits helps them access the resources that they may need to end up helping them with their trauma, helping with stability in their home, things of that nature. So I work with Raising Relief Foundation. I'm on their committee, and they're a nonprofit that raises funds for local small and moderate sized nonprofits so they can have unrestricted access to money to help our community where they could best use it. I also work at Loft 181, which clothes children, girls that living in foster care, as well as human trafficking victims. I also do Empowerment, which is an organization that helps women of any background, any creed, any ethnicity or race. And it meets them where they are, everything from free 15 counseling sessions to an entrepreneurship class. I also work with Hands Across the Bay, Say Law Freedom, which is for human trafficking in the Tampa Bay area, as well as Feeding Tampa Bay, and Positive Impact Ministries, which helps feed the community down in St. Pete. And they do it every Saturday. You just pull up and get your car loaded up with groceries, no questions asked. So I'm very involved, and I think it's important that as a judicial candidate, we should be involved in the nonprofits of our community.
So as I stated earlier, I was previously the president of the Georgia Edgecombe Bar Association in Hillsborough County. For you all who don't know, that is the largest African-American bar in Tampa Bay. And during my tenure and during my service, we also had a chance to work specifically with the Tampa Hispanic Bar as well. We had a chance to meet many attorneys who come from Latin American nations and those who have Latin American background. And we were able to meet with them and not only advise them on legal issues, but they also advised us on cultural sensitivities that we need to be aware of and also dealing with those clients. One thing that we always hosted was our Know Your Legal Rights workshop, where we go into the communities, not just in East Tampa or down in South St. Pete, but we also go into Ybor and other areas as well to make sure people understand their basic rights, such as landlord tenant issues, family law rights, criminal law rights. Because of our efforts, we also work with the Tampa Hispanic Bar doing their own Know Your Legal Rights workshop, to assist them in making sure that all the members of the community had the education they need. Last summer, I had the opportunity to participate in the Federal Trade Commission outreach program that happened in Tampa. That program was created specifically to advise people on frauds and scams that target the community. Those random text messages you get about, hey, listen, your bill needs to be paid, pay us right now, things of that nature. But during that meeting, you had a chance to also meet people from Spanish-speaking countries and people who had a background who did not speak English well. What we learned is that they were also victims of scams and fraud, where they were told, oh, your brother's going to be arrested for a warrant. Pay us $5,000 now. We have to advise people to be aware of what these issues are. And it was important because law enforcement who attended this wasn't aware that also Latin communities were being targeted as well. So we had a chance to work with those communities and continue to do this.
Involved with the school system in Pinellas County, and I've been a mentor for years. I have followed my student from 7th grade, and now she is going to be entering 11th grade. I'm also part of Lawyers for Literacy, which is a program where I work with a 3rd grade student, and I try to help that student get their numbers up so that they're better at reading comprehension, and spelling, so that they can take standardized tests that they can take each spring and hopefully pass. So far, all of my students have always passed. I'm also involved with the Madera Beach Fundamental Intervention and Appeals Committee, which is basically where we get to hear when children are breaking the rules. Since it's a fundamental school, it's a right to be in the school. We have to follow the rules, they're really strict. And so we determine, what the sanction would be if the child is breaking the rules or not following everything as they should. I'm also very involved with Love Animal Rescue. I've been a part of that for years. I am a Rotarian as well. I'm involved also with Positive Impact Ministries, which is down in St. Pete, to provide groceries to those that need it. And I am also a volunteer with the Florida Bar, the volunteer mediation arbitration program. I feel like there's something else I'm leaving out, but that summarizes it, in addition to being a public servant for almost 18 years.
In regards to service to the Hispanic community, I am very involved with Rotary. I'm a member of the Seminole Lake Rotary and serve on the board as secretary. I'm currently serving my 3rd year as secretary. I was hoping to do 2, but my wife became president and kind of forced me to do a 3rd year, so I'm going to do that. But through Rotary, we raise money each year to send Rotarians to Puerto Rico to help rebuild homes and schools that have been ravaged by hurricanes. And fortunately, I haven't been able to go on one of those trips, but I've participated in raising the funds for that. Through our Rotary, we also pack food every third Saturday down in Wellman for the Florida Dream Center for low-income families. We raise money every year for, at our Red Party, to raise money for foster children, to provide them presents at Christmas time. That's been expanded this year to also include children aging out of foster care, to help them with necessities. I also, through my legal career, volunteer with the Clearwater Bar in cooperation with the Intercultural Advocacy Center to provide pro bono legal services. We did that last year. And I participated in that, and that was a great service to the community. I serve on the Intervention and Appeals Committee at Behavioral Beach Fundamental. I've done that for the last 8 years or 10 years. My kids stopped going to that school about 5 years ago, and I've continued to do that since I've left the school. And I serve on the board of Hero of a Child, which is formerly the Guardian Life Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you. We are going into our last question, and I want to remind the audience that if you have any questions for our candidates, to please go ahead and write them down. And yes, oh, we will have, sorry, the question will be at the end.
Yes,
Yes.
but the candidates step out here so we can hear them better. I mean, it's okay to step out. My voice will carry. Their voices are not carried. I'm sitting close. Passing my phone.
Are these not picking up anything?
No, I can hear you. I think it's.
Yeah, I think it might be more for the interpretation.
Got it.
Yeah, but you guys are welcome to step forward. Okay, so your next question is 2 parts. So I will read the first one. If a person coming before you who has an immigration concern but wishes to enter a guilty plea, how would you handle that? And your second part to that question is, would you consider rescheduling the hearing to allow the person the opportunity to seek help from community resources? And if so, what specific resources would those be? And I will be glad to reread that question if you need.
So I think that before, especially as a judge, before you let anyone enter a guilty plea, they need to be aware of all their consequences. So if there's any immigration possibility, certain criminal charges can trigger immigration coming in for deportation. And I think that as a judge, yes, it's the attorney's responsibility as well to make sure that they're informing the client of any potential deportation immigration issues. But I think as the judge, it's also important that they are fully aware of that, because there are so many more consequences to just a guilty plea on certain charges than just what you're gonna get for the criminal charge. So yes, I think it's important to make sure, especially on the record, that it's stated that they discussed all of the consequences, including any potential deportation or immigration consequences, and that they had time to discuss it. And if they didn't, I think it's important to give them time to go, if they need a second opinion, or if they need to talk to an immigration attorney specifically, give them time to do that. Also, I know if it's financial, there's legal services, there's other services available in our community that can help people if they don't have the funds to hire an immigration attorney just to give them advice on it. Thank you.
I did forget to mention the question was 4 minutes long.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. All right, can everybody hear them?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I think that's a really great question, and a judge should always be sure that any person, especially entering a guilty plea, does it freely, voluntarily, and knowingly, right? They have to know and understand the consequences that they're doing. And actually, if you've ever been in court, a judge is actually what we call reads a plea colloquy, which is they list out certain rights. You have the right to a trial. Are you understanding you're waiving that right? You have the right to, you're presumed innocent. Do you understand all of these rights? One of them is, do you understand that if you're not a United States citizen, this plea may affect your citizenship, right? And judges should advise them of that. And if that becomes a real tripping point in the plea where the defendant or person entering the plea feels that they don't understand all of the consequences, there should be a reset of that hearing. They should have time to speak with an immigration attorney about their specific case
the specific plea they're gonna be entering and what that may have for consequences. As an assistant state attorney, I do pleas a lot. I've probably done thousands. And I have never penalized someone for needing more time to speak with an immigration lawyer. I've never withdrawn a plea deal because the defendant believes that they need to have more understanding of what this plea is going to do to their immigration. Because it's important that they make that decision freely and voluntarily. They don't feel pressure to do it. They don't feel that they have to do it because this deal is going to be gone tomorrow if they're not given an opportunity. And as a judge, I would allow that as well. A space for someone to be sure that they're doing this freely, voluntarily, and knowingly. And I think the last portion was what type of resources. Now, I'm not sure it's a judge's role to tell a person how to go about gaining access. And if you are a person charged with a crime, you're either going to have representation appointed or have your own attorney where you can represent yourself. But there are great resources like the Hispanic Outreach Center, there's the Gulf Coast Legal Services. There are pro bono services and attorneys to help and guide someone and understanding what, if any, immigration consequences may be as a part of their sentence. Thank you all.
Having been an appellate attorney, I've seen the records when cases get reversed. One of the top issues that happen when cases get reversed is that something happens in the trial court, and most of the time the person says, I didn't understand what I was doing. I was misadvised by my counsel. When it comes to someone's immigration status, every prosecutor who's been on this panel and defense attorney knows, people have to make sure they understand what they're getting themselves into, understand all the rights they're getting before they enter the plea. So the answer to the question is yes, I would reset the hearing. Okay. As I mentioned before, people don't understand in criminal cases if they enter a plea, even if it's a loophole, it can jeopardize their immigration status and be grounds for being deported. So I think if someone were to say in open court, judge, I don't know what's going on, or my client doesn't know what's going on, I think it's responsibility of judges and the attorneys to make sure the case is reset for another day, for the person to get the resources that they need. Now, what resources are out there that are available to them? So I do agree, as a judge, we have to remain completely neutral and partial. Can't give free legal advice. They have to really reach out to their attorneys and find the resources that are out there. But in my service in the bar, there are resources that are available. Mayor Legal Services has a volunteer program of Spanish-speaking attorneys who are available to assist people who understand the rights to something to. Lutheran Church also provides the services as well, as is the Tampa Hispanic Bar Association and the Florida Hispanic Bar Association. But this goes back to something that I've said before, which is that it's the responsibility of attorneys to make sure that people understand all the resources that are available to them. So yes, I would reset the case for another day and also allow that person all the resources that they need making their decision. Thank you.
I've had this exact scenario many times, being a public defender, probably at least once a month, where I have a client that needs an interpreter and there are potential immigration consequences as a result of a plea. I'm in circuit court. I've been in circuit court for 16 years, and with any circuit court, any felony conviction, somebody can be deported. It's really important that judges understand the consequences of somebody pleading to any criminal case. They should always give the time for someone to refer to any sort of outreach center or immigration attorney to check and verify whether there are immigration or deportation consequences as a result of a plea. Judges aren't allowed to give advice or suggest, that somebody look into a certain area, but I do know that there are many resources available for defendants to look into immigration consequences. The Department of Justice has a list of pro bono attorneys, and I do know that in immigration courts, they do have that list, and if somebody requests for an attorney or assistance, they will give them the list of pro bono attorneys that could handle any potentially, deportation issues or immigration issues, in addition to the Hispanic Outreach Center and the Bay Area Legal Services. So I do believe that, if somebody has a concern or if they're not sure whether there are immigration consequences as a result of a plea, they should always get, more time to speak with an attorney or somebody to confirm whether or not there's going to be significant consequences of their plea. Thank you.
I agree with everything that's been said. If somebody comes before you that's entering a plea, they should be granted full opportunity to have their case reviewed by somebody so that they understand the consequences of what they're pleading to. It's vital in order to have due process, that you know what's going on in the process and that you're able to consult with any attorney or organization that could advise you. As they said, as a judge, you can't necessarily refer somebody to an organization, but there are many organizations out there that can assist with this process. Catholic Charities, Bay Area Legal Services, Gulf Coast Legal Services, and also there's many attorneys who would do that pro bono. But you have to consider that a lot of these people who may appear before the court don't have the funds to get a paid consultation. So I think it's important that the resources are available. Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to go into our closing statements and then go into audience questions. So if I could get a quick thumbs up if we have our questions. Perfect. And we'll go ahead and start on the closing statements. And this time I'll start on the other end.
Well, good evening. Thank you all for being here tonight. Judicial races are extremely important, and coming here to learn about the candidates is an important part of the process. 10% of the people who vote in Pinellas and Pasco leave the judges blank. In the last election, that was about 30,000 people who showed up to vote and left it blank. So it's important that you research all the candidates and make the right decision for you who you think should be on the bench. Judges, when they're elected, are normally on the bench and not challenged. So this is your one chance to have a say. Because in order for a judge to be challenged, an attorney needs to challenge them, and the attorneys appear before the judges. So it doesn't happen very often. In this last cycle, about 20 judges were reelected unopposed without the voters having a say for a 6-year term. I've been practicing for 21 years. I'm the only one in my race who's practiced family, criminal, civil, and probate. So I'm prepared to step in and practice any area that you're assigned to. A lot of people don't realize that when you're elected, you can be assigned anywhere from downtown St. Petersburg, State City, and any of those areas of the law. You don't run for a certain seat. I thank you all for being here tonight, and I hope to earn your vote on August 20th. Thank you.
I thank you all for coming out tonight. Judicial elections are so important and they're often overlooked. As I told you, I have been an assistant public defender for almost 18 years. This fall will be 18 years. I am in court every single day, Monday through Friday. I have handled thousands of cases. I have argued hundreds, if not thousands, of motions and hearings. I have tried many jury trial cases, and I have also done many bench trials. I am the only public servant in my race. I'm the only person who has dedicated almost 18 years to public service. I am doing this to continue to give back to the community and to bring my expertise and my skills to the bench. It's so important to elect judges that have the actual courtroom experience. Judges are responsible for maintaining the courtroom. They have to make really big decisions under pressure at many times. Many times there are people that aren't happy. In fact, there's usually always one party that's not happy with the judge's decision. And they have to be able to make those decisions fast. They have to be efficient with running a docket. These are all things that I can do. My skills are transferable to any area of the law. I have significant litigation experience, and this is something that I want you to consider. I urge each and every one of you to go onto the clerk of court. You can go for Pinellas, for Pasco, for Hillsborough, and check to see what the candidates have done. Check and see who has tried cases. Look and see how many cases people have handled. And you'll see that I have had the most cases in my race, and I have the most litigation experience. I urge you all to vote Jen for judge, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Well, I just want to say thank you to the Hispanic Leadership Council for putting on this event. It's really hard to campaign as a judge. You can't say a lot of things, a lot of rules against us. You can't do a lot of things. So people really are like, who cares? You should care about your judges. Judges get the chance to decide cases that affect people's lives forever. They decide whether or not someone was in prison for this their life, how they handle a multi-million-dollar case, what happens when a married couple decides they don't want to be together anymore, who gets the children, what happens when property is transferred out. These are significant things that we need to make sure that we are electing men and women who know what they are doing, who have the experience, and are ready to lead. I'm very blessed as someone who has developed a very well-rounded career as a trial prosecutor, an appellate prosecutor, corporate litigator, criminal defense attorney, a bar association president, and someone who has served in the community. Not only do I bring that to the table, but also I'm a father and husband too. You see the back of my candy card, you see it right now as well. Being a dad and being a husband has prepared me the most to be able to become a judge and deal with people in a way that I would never have done before, having better temperament, better understanding, having the ability to hear what people have to say and know the issues that they're doing. I thank you all for having these translations here as well today. Mi español muy limitado, literally. So I'm very glad to share. So I'm very appreciative of you all being here today, being out here. I'll be honest with you, I don't know all the issues that are facing the Latin community, the legal issues that it faces. I really don't. But I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to, because I believe that in order for our justice system the way it is, people have to have confidence in the system. All people have to have confidence in the system. Events like that is how we get it solved. Thank you for this time. Thank you for this opportunity. And please vote for Judge. Please vote Dems for Judge on August 20th. Thank you.
Thank you guys for hosting this event. I think it's incredibly important to understand who's on the ballot. And I think it's very important, and kind of echoing what everyone else said, experience matters, right? Who has the current translatable and transferable experience that's going to show up, do the job well, have a good understanding, and who's handled significant things, who's handled life felonies or been assigned and handling death penalty cases, right? As big and as serious as they come, who can do it well, who does it ethically, and who's going to work hard. And this is really a vote of confidence as to who can you be confident is going to be the judge that you could be proud in 10 years that you cast your vote for, that they're serving the community well, that they are involved in their community, doing the nonprofit. I'm someone, again, I'm a public servant. You don't do this job for the money. You do it because you see the need and you show up and you work. And for me, I'm working for these victims, these children that don't have a voice. I advocate for them and I serve them. I serve the interests of making sure that the laws are followed and that we hold people accountable who break the laws. I'm a textualist. I'm going to follow the law as it's written. I'm not going to legislate from the bench. I'm going to be sure that whatever the law is, the judge's role is to be a neutral party and to be sure that the law is enforced and that either party is able to adhere to that, to the rules of evidence, to civil or criminal rules of procedure. That is me. But more than my experience as an assistant state attorney, I'm a mom to a 4-year-old, married to my college sweetheart. We're members of Idlewild Baptist Church, and I'm a community servant. So I'm asking for your vote on August 20th for Circuit Court Judge Group 9.
So thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure getting to talk to everybody. I'm always jumping at a chance to speak to people that are actually interested in learning about their judges because it means so much to me, and I appreciate you taking your time. I realized when they were all talking that I didn't tell you that I'm a mom. I have 2 boys, and dealing with my boys has helped me learn patience, calmness, not reacting. I'm a den leader for their Cub Scout pack. I have 8 rambunctious 9-year-olds at any one time. And I have the demeanor, but more than that, I have the experience. I've done trials in every courtroom in the Pinellas and Paso, which is the circuit that we're running for, in every courthouse that we have. I had what was in mediation Wednesday, was that yesterday, all day. And in the middle of the campaign, and I was asked why. And I responded that it's because families are important. My clients are important to me. And yes, I'm running an election, but I still have my clients. And I am hoping to bring that passion to the bench. I'm hoping to help the system. I have seen families get ripped apart while they're in litigation in the family law system because it's emotional, it's hard. And as long as they're in litigation, they're going to continue fighting. They're going to continue using the kids. It's going to continue to be contentious. So my goal is to get them through the system as quickly as possible so they can be in the field. I have a passion for families. I am hoping to bring that to the bench. I'm hoping you see that. I'm hoping it comes off the right way. And I'm hoping for your vote for Judge Group 9 by August 20th. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a lot of questions from the audience, so we're gonna see how many we can get through. I'll start with the first one, and we'll do like a minute per question. The first question says, tell us about any pro bono work you have done.
I guess. Yeah. So everyone that knows me knows I'm kind of like a sucker for families and elderly. And recently, I just had a hearing this afternoon on it, but I took a case because there was an elderly woman that was being abused by her husband. She was removed. Her guardian attorney called me, said, hey, there's not a lot of money, but she wants to get divorced. So I took the case pro bono while in the middle of an election and was able to get a quick trial. The family law judge was phenomenal about getting us in quickly and able to get a divorce. And now I'm trying to help pro bono wrap all that up. In addition to that, I do take cases frequently, especially when there's abuse with the family, the kids. I also have gone to Hillsborough. Hillsborough puts on a family law event where people can come in and get free advice. I did one here, actually, several months ago, probably at this point. But I try to give back as much as I can because I do care.
So as a sworn assistant state attorney, we are not allowed to do pro bono work. It would be sometimes a conflict of interest to give legal advice. So I'm not allowed to do free legal services through my employment that bars me, which is why I focus a lot of mine on the nonprofit world and showing up for partnerships so that my victims have access, so that I'm involved in the community, but I'm not able to do it in a pro bono capacity as a sworn assistant state attorney.
So my pro bono service includes, during my tenure as president of the Edgecombe Bar Association, provided 40 free wills to homeowners in the East Tampa area. So we make sure that those homes are properly transferred down throughout generations of people. Also a prior recipient of the Florida Supreme Court pro bono pen for work that I did when I was in private practice as well. And then outside of my pro bono work that I've done as an attorney, I've also done volunteer work throughout the Sixth Circuit, namely the Boys and Girls Club Coochie out of East Tampa, which has a very large Hispanic, I'll say large Mexican population out there. And I've also done work with Boys Court here in Clearwater, which is designed to end the school to prison pipeline for young men.
As an assistant public defender, just as Ms. Spurlock indicated, I am not allowed to do pro bono work. I can assure you that I don't stay at my job for the money, but to give back to the community, which would be the same thing as pro bono. And I also stay involved, as I've already mentioned, with the different organizations that I volunteer. Thank you.
In regards to my pro bono work, I volunteer with different legal clinics. The Clearwater Bar has one, the Safety Bar, also Bay Area Legal Services and the Gulf Coast Legal Services. They hold legal clinic usually once a year. I volunteer my time to answer family law questions and estate planning questions to the people who attend those. I have also, for the last 15 years, I've written free wills and living wills to members of law enforcement. And I've done that for the last 15 years. I've done hundreds of those. I think that's about it for my pro bono work. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question. What are 5 characteristics a good judge should have? There you go.
All right. So I think knowledge. I think it's important to have knowledge. I think it's important to be humble and realize that you don't have all the knowledge, and to take the time when it's necessary to educate yourself on what you need. Respect for people, no matter who they are, what they look like, what their race, religion, whatever. Respect for all. Hard work ethic, which I have, working all my life, but as a judge, you have to realize it's not just necessarily an 8 to 5 job. that sometimes orders have to be written at night, sometimes emergencies happen, you have to come in on the weekends. So work ethic and patience. Patience because you're gonna be dealing with, no matter where you are, high emotions, whether it's crime, civil, family, and you have to have the patience to deal with everybody that's before you.
I would say, there's a lot of qualities to a judge, but in counting 5, I'd say judges need to be fair-minded. They need to be able to apply the law equally and fairly to every person that comes before them, no matter their background, their experience, their socioeconomic ethnicity. Nothing should be the decider about a person other than what the law says. They should have integrity. They should be someone who's the same person in and out of the courtroom. They shouldn't show up on Monday wearing a black robe and think of themselves as something more than they are on the Saturday night when they're out in the community. They need to be the same person through and through. They need to have intellect. They need to show up, understand, and also be willing to be educated. None of us are masters in everything, and the law is constantly changing. Judges need to be willing to educate themselves. You need to also have the demeanor that's respectful and kind to others, and the hard work and work ethic and experience. Thank you.
So the 5 that you would need, if you have my candidate card, 3 of them are already on the back, which is value, service, and integrity. And you have to have, first of all, have the integrity to serve in this position, be someone who is honest, trustworthy, and someone who people can depend on. That's why judges are given the title of honorable, as opposed to everything else, because we are people who have integrity. Someone who understands values and understands where people come from and what we have to do to make sure we maintain and keep our justice system the way it is. Service, understanding that they're a servant leader, that they are a public servant. Their courtroom is not a mini kingdom with the reign and rule. It's someplace where the judge has to be able to hear about and say they have to have good temperament. If you're in a courtroom where passions are going wild every single time, parties have to be brought to the treasure storm that can be the courtroom. And the last one I would say is someone just to have experience, be able to know what you're doing. Day one, being a circuit judge is not on the job training. You need to know what you were doing day one, what thing that money's and their lives and so on. You can make the right decisions. Thank you.
Important qualities that I think a judge should have are first, work ethic. Judges have to be able to put in the time. It's not a 8 to 4 job. You could have to stay late. I've had jury trials where we have been waiting for a verdict until midnight. So they have to be able to put the work in, put in the time. You have to have patience, and you have to be a good listener. That's really important because a lot of times when people come to court, they're in not such a great spot. And sometimes people don't understand the court system. They're frustrated. You have to be able to listen and see what it is that they want to do, or maybe just understand where they're coming from. You have to have the knowledge. You have to know how the court works. You have to know how the law works. You have to know how to interpret the law. And you have to have respect. You have to have respect for all parties that are before you. Just because you have the title of a judge or you're called your honor, does not mean that you are any better than anybody that comes before you. It's really important to always stay humble and respect everybody that comes into your court. Thank you.
Qualities that I think are important for a judge, first is humility. I think it's important that you start with humility. You know that you're not going to know everything. No matter how much experience you have, there's always going to be new issues that come before you, and you have to be willing to educate yourself and know how to deal with those issues. I think experience is important. Having experience in all the areas of the law that could come before you. Treating people with respect. 50% of the people who leave your courtroom are most likely not going to be happy. But if you treat everyone with respect, you hear them out and let them be heard, they'll at least leave knowing that they were respected and won't be able to hold that grudge against the system. I think it's important to have patience with the people that you're dealing with. As people come before you, it can get hectic, calendars can get busy. So you have to remember that each person that's coming before you, it's their day in court, and you have to give them the time that they need to be heard. And I also think it's important to have integrity, to be the person you are in the courtroom and outside the courtroom, as was said, and look at the people who they surround themselves with and who's in their life. I think that's important to pay attention to. Thank you.
We will do one more because I know we're getting our steps in today. Let's do, what is one goal you hope to accomplish?
Sure. Let's keep up the tradition of first. I don't know if this is life goal or if I'm a judge. If I'm a judge, I hope to accomplish the goal of kind of what I was talking about previously of helping these families do it better, helping these families be better. That's my one true goal that is super important to me. And that's my goal for if I'm selected judge. Thank you.
And yes, it was perfect.
Yes. If elected, my goal would be to be someone who is steadfast, someone that is going to serve well, have a career that people can be proud of, right? That I'm going to follow the law with predictability. You know what the law is, you know how I'm going to rule. And someone who's going to have the even keel, the temperament and the respect. I want to look back and be proud of my service, know that I'm serving my community well as a servant leader, and using good, wise decision-making. That would be the greatest legacy as a judge, is to be someone that is fair to all parties and follows the law and does it respectfully and well to the service of their community.
I think one goal that I would like to accomplish becoming a judge is making sure that I lead the system in a better way than when I found it. Earlier we talked about how we call this the practice of law. That's because we're trying to improve it every single day. It's the practice of law, not the mastery of it. And so judges have to make sure that they are doing what they need to do as well to improve that system. We have the most premier legal system in the world. There's no question. The adversarial system is the best one that we have, but it has issues. It has to be corrected and fixed. And I will be able to work with people and work with people the best I can to make sure that we make our justice system a lot better.
Judges aren't like legislators or state representatives where we can promise to change the world or even make any promises other than to follow the law. My goal as a judge would be to do exactly that, to follow the law and to always respect everybody and to remain fair at all times. Thank you.
So if elected, my goal would be to continue to be the person that I am, not let being elected judge go to my head. There's a term in the legal community called grovitis. When you get elected, you get a big head and you no longer are part of the community and you're no longer treating people the same way. So my goal would be to continue to be the person that I am. A judge, we were at an event recently that said there's two types of judges, those who grow and those who swell. And I hope to be a judge who grows. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming out tonight on a rainy night. Can we give them one more round of applause? And please feel free to stay and mingle for a little bit, get more food. And yeah, thank you so much for coming out tonight.
Can we get a picture of the judges together?
He wants to come in front of the table. Yeah, that was gonna be weird. Yeah. I was like going to pretend. Oh, thank you.
That's right. Advance. Because of the lighting being where it's at, it's best if we get on this side. Otherwise, we have to. Let's do this for tonight. Went out. Then you still have your phone.
You gonna go in with them? No?
And can we have one with the president? Okay, so anybody that was.
First one's the work on.
Here we go. Perfect.
I know. See it. Thank you.
This is how democracy works, is when citizens actually know who it is they're voting for, and then cast their vote knowingly. And for you to know who the people are that are voting for you, they represent.
Thank you, perfect, thank you.
Make sure you get some of that tomato. Thank you.
Yeah. So great.
If I could get your attention really quick, I forgot to mention, if you could please do the survey so that we know how to improve more events like this, because we would love to continue to do them. Thank you.
So I was really good, like, oh no. Answers? Yeah. Yeah, no, it was fantastic. I think it hasn't been done that way yet. You know, they usually and a lot of times we'll like. So. That was fantastic. Like I first came off, I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like looking at this. I don't know more Spanish, and he's like, oh, we'll have.